He sat in the dim light, his heart racing as the final plan for revenge unfolded in his mind. 5 years of meticulous planning had brought him to this moment. It started with a simple betrayal, a friend turned enemy, leaving him in ruins, all while wearing a smile. He remembered the laughter, the shared secrets, and then the knife in his back. Anger pulsed through his veins as he stared at the wall. This was not just revenge, it was his life's work now, a masterpiece of revenge crafted over countless sleepless nights. At first, the anger felt empowering. He spent nights plotting, writing lists, and drawing plans. Each detail was accounted for, every possible outcome analyzed. He'd learned everything about his enemy, what made him tick, his weaknesses, his routines. The thrill of it all consumed him, replacing the pain with a dangerous adrenaline. But deep down beneath the layers of rage, something else stirred, a whisper of doubt. Was this truly what he wanted? Or was he just trapped in a cycle of hurt? As the years passed, the initial fire of rage morphed into a cold, calculating resolve. He had built his entire life around this revenge. His friends noticed the change in him, the way he became more withdrawn, the light in his eyes dimming. They tried to pull him back, reminding him of who he used to be, but he brushed them off. "You wouldn't understand," he would say, his voice laced with bitterness. And deep down, he knew they were right. They hadn't walked a mile in his shoes, hadn't felt the sting of betrayal like he had. Finally, the day arrived, the day he had waited for. He had everything in place, the trap, the audience, the perfect moment. He could almost taste the sweet satisfaction that would come when he finally confronted his enemy. His heart raced as he donned his disguise, a mask of calm over the storm brewing inside him. He pulled the door open and stepped into the world that had moved on without him. As he approached the scene, he noticed how everything seemed to shimmer with the anticipation of what was to come. Friends gathered, laughter echoed, yet he felt like an outsider, a ghost haunting his own past. He spotted his enemy across the room, laughing and carefree, completely oblivious to the storm brewing in the shadows. He took a deep breath, steadying the tremor in his hands. This was it. This was the moment. He moved closer, heart pounding like a drum, ready to unleash years of pain and anger. But then, something unexpected happened. As he drew nearer, he heard laughter, a familiar, warm laughter that broke through the haze of his hatred. It was a child's laugh, bright and innocent. And then he saw her, a little girl, no older than 5, running toward the man he had longed to destroy. She wrapped her tiny arms around his enemy's legs, looking up at him with pure adoration. In that instant, it was as if the universe stopped. The walls of revenge he had constructed began to crack. He felt a jolt of confusion. This was not the monster he had painted in his mind. As he watched the man bend down, scooping the girl up into his arms, joy radiated from them, illuminating the space around him. This was a man who loved, who had someone to protect. How could he be capable of such betrayal, yet still hold this beautiful life in his arms? His heart twisted painfully. The image he had held on to for years, the face of his enemy, now intertwined with innocence. The little girl giggled, and he felt something deep inside him shift. The weight of his vengeance suddenly felt so heavy. His plans began to unravel, and he was left standing there, lost in the chaos of his emotions. What was revenge going to achieve? Would it heal the gaping wound in his heart? He realized he had spent all these years clinging to anger, replacing his true self with a dark version who only knew pain. A stranger had emerged in the mirror, someone he didn't recognize anymore. As the laughter continued, he stepped back, hidden in the shadows. The moment felt surreal, as if time had slowed. It was almost too much to bear, this unexpected turn of events. Had he been so blinded by hatred that he failed to see the full picture? Just then, the man turned and their eyes met. For a brief moment, the world faded away. There was a flicker of recognition. Maybe he sensed the bitterness, the storm brewing just beneath the surface. Or perhaps he simply saw a lost soul, one who had been consumed by darkness. In that moment, something profound shifted. Instead of the confrontation he had envisioned, he felt an overwhelming urge to turn away, to walk back into the shadows and let this moment slip away. He had spent years wanting to destroy this man, yet now he was faced with the truth. This wasn't the only life impacted by the betrayal. He turned and walked away, the weight of years of planning slipping off his shoulders. Each step felt lighter, a release from the chains he had forged. What would happen next? He didn't know, but he felt a stirring in his heart, a flicker of hope. As he drove home, the streets blurred past him. Memories flooded his mind, not the anger or the betrayal, but the good times, the laughter, the friendship that once was. He could feel the warmth of those moments creeping back into his heart, pushing out the coldness that had settled in over the years. Weeks turned into months, and he began to heal. It was a slow, painful process. He visited old friends, reconnected with people he had pushed away. He shared stories, laughter, and the warmth of human connection returned to his life. Eventually, he found himself standing in front of his enemy's house again. But this time it was different. The little girl played in the yard, laughter spilling into the air like sunshine. He stood in awe, realizing the man was not a monster, but a person, flawed like everyone else. The need for revenge felt so distant now. It was as if he were looking at an old photo, one that no longer held any power over him. When the man stepped outside, their eyes met once more. That flicker of recognition returned. This time, he felt a smile creeping onto his face. Instead of anger, he felt empathy. Instead of hate, he felt connection. The journey of vengeance had twisted into a journey of forgiveness, not just for the man who wronged him, but for himself as well. He learned that the past didn't have to define him, that it was possible to let go of the pain and embrace the brighter moments ahead. The 5 years spent planning revenge had brought him to this point, but it was the choice to turn away that truly changed everything. And as he drove away that evening, he felt free for the first time in years. The cycle of hurt had finally ended, replaced by an understanding that sometimes the greatest revenge is simply to live better.